Yes, lads, what is up? I hope everyone is good. Welcome back to another video. Before we get into it, drop the video a like, subscribe if you haven't already. I appreciate every single person coming on here, supporting the channel over the last little while. We're building a little team, as I said, a little community, and I hope you are taking some value, some enjoyment from it. You might be doing a cardio session, you might be eating a meal right now, whatever it is that you're doing. I hope you're having a good time doing it. So, we're going to get stuck into it today. A little bit of a sit down on the bulk, the off season, the gaining phase, whatever you want to call it. This phase is where we make the progress. Our fat loss phase, our diet, our prep is where we showcase that. Now is the time for us to make as much progress as we possibly can, and we're all in the same boat of trying to make as much progress as we possibly can, as quick as we can. We all want that result now, okay? And the beauty of what we do, the beauty of what we're speaking about in this video is it's patience. It all takes time, and it's a game of who can do it the best for the longest. Outside of all the other aspects, when it comes to genetics, when it comes to, people's, livelihoods, their setups as a whole, it's your ability to work hard at the end of the day and your ability to put the work in, right? And we all have that same thing of work ethic, discipline, willpower, our ability to just go and do it and adhere to it and be accountable to it, okay? 5 topics we're going to cover today are food, training and movement as a whole, recovery, routine, and time. All those 5 topics, I think, are 5 key pillars to having a really successful gaining phase, off season, whatever you want to call it, okay? And those 5 parts working together is when you're going to get the best results as well. When one of those things is off, when 2 of those things are off, and you only focus on maybe 3 of those things, the results that you think you might get are probably going to be subpar, because of those other elements being off and you not putting a focus on those elements. These all work very well together when you put the work into them all. And they're all things that we can just put the work into very, very easily at the end of the day. And when we look at our off season, as I said, it's trying to get the most from doing the least a lot of the time, so we can actually, do it for longer and continue to progress. But at the same time, it's about getting the most out of all of these topics at the end of the day as well. So first thing we talk about is, I suppose, food at the end of the day and setting up food. Now, when we're looking at our off season, we want to be starting that in a position where we have a lot of runway with everything. Okay, so all of these things, as I said, come in together at the end of the day when it's food, training, whatever we're talking about here, supplements. You want to start with a really good runway. And that would start with body composition firstly. Okay, you want to start your bulk in the best position possible in terms of body fat levels being as low as they possibly can. Now, I know a lot of people watching this when this video goes out might not be in the best position possible. And the first thing I probably would recommend to you is, if you're not in a position where you're comfortable walking around with a top off or just comfortable in your own skin, I would address that first. I would probably rip off a little bit of body fat before you go into this phase now, which is inevitably going to add more body fat to your frame. You want to be in a position where you are going to be comfortable with adding body fat alongside muscle over the next number of months, potentially a long period of time here. You need to be comfortable with adding a little bit more body fat. So if you're already at a position where you're not comfortable with the amount of body fat that you have in your frame, I would rip that body fat off. Get yourself sensitive, get yourself in a very lean state, just to the point where you can afford to gain a little bit of body fat when you're on it with every other element here, where you can be putting muscle on at the same time as that fat, okay? And that's where food, again, at the start of this phase, will probably be relatively low for your ability to be able to build it up. You can only continue to off-season as long as you can continue to eat at the end of the day. I know it's cool these days to have super high food and to be taking in loads of food every single day, but realistically you only need a good margin of a surplus, a little surplus, to build muscle. You can only build so much muscle every single day, week, month at the end of the day. Now, in my opinion, the younger you are, the shorter time you've been doing this, the more you can get away with in terms of pushing the boat on how much muscle you can build. And I think I'm a good representation of that this year. With everything that I'm doing, obviously, I've never had a very structured, a very locked in off-season gaining phase, bulk, and now I've had that ever since stepping off stage this year, and I think I've built a lot more muscle than what a man might say is an optimum amount of muscle to build in a month or in a week. Like a lot of people will tell you should be gaining 0.5 to 1 kg per month or per week. Every man is going to say a different number. The scales isn't really something that I'm too worried about. Now, if that scales is moving very, very fast, which I experienced myself this year, I've gone from a low of 65 kilo to a high of right now where I'm at of 95 kilo. I've gained 30 kilo in about 3.5 months, which is a lot of weight to gain. Obviously, that comes with just the initial big spike in weight post-show, okay, and just gaining a lot of weight. But not all of that is body fat, but not all of that is muscle either at the end of the day. Now I'm at a position where I want to maximize on the amount of muscle that I'm building and keep body fat going up to a minimum as much as I can, so I can prolong this phase that I'm in and not have to go into a mini cut, not have to hold, not have to pull back. So food is at a point where you want to be gaining slowly, okay? You do want to be seeing that scales going up. At the end of the day, if you're not getting leaner and that scales is staying the same, you're not doing anything, you're just going around in a circle. All right, if you're getting leaner and the scales are staying the same, then you're building a bit of muscle. You're just getting leaner, which means you probably need more food. But you want to be seeing that scales ideally moving up nice and slowly. On average, probably between 0.5 kilos at the very start, upwards of 1 kilos in the first couple of weeks. And then that rate of gain will slow down dependent on the person every single week as you get further into the bulk. When your weight plateaus, you can start adding in a little bit more food. You could add in probably, again, not being scared of it, 40 to 50 gram of carbohydrates. You might add in a little bit of fat. You might, again, assess a couple of weeks after you've put in that adjustment. Okay, have we gained on average a nice little bit of weight here over the last couple of weeks? What are photos saying? There's a lot of different variables that go into it that you need to be consistent with every single week. And that one thing that I think is king at the end of the day is photos. No one cares. All right, and we do not care, certainly ourselves, at the end of the day, what weight we are, okay? It's how we look. Like, we don't care what we weigh, all right? The only reason we give out about what we weigh is because of the way that we look. Okay, I'm too heavy. The only reason you're saying you're too heavy is because you're looking at yourself in the mirror, you're looking at photos and saying, I'm too fat. Simple as. So photos are king at the end of the day. You want to be taking photos consistently, whether that's on your own or with your coach every single week, comparing them and not seeing things getting too out of hand too quick. You want to be in control of that body composition at all times, most importantly, and be happy with that body composition at all times, more importantly. Next thing then is our training, okay? Food is there and will drive the change. But where does that change come from? Where does that new muscle demand to go on your frame come from? That comes from our training. It's the only place we can build muscle from. Break down that muscle. The role of how we build muscle essentially is going in, breaking down the muscle, going home and building it back up to go back in the next week, break it down again and build it back up stronger. To build muscle, to build your physique, to get bigger, you want to every single week be making progress in the gym. If you're not making progress, you're not lifting consistently more inside the gym and progressing your training, you're not going to build muscle because your body is used to that element of training. It's used to that stimulus. We need to be driving a new stimulus every single week, every single training session as much as we can through different, pathways, whether that is adding more weight to the bar, to the machine, whether that's doing more reps on a certain set, whether that's better execution, whether it's better tempo. There's so many different variables that go into training. There needs to be a consistent form of progression on a weekly basis to create that demand for that food to be put to use for you to grow, for you to build muscle. So that's one big element, is your training. Alongside our training, as I'm speaking about, with the off season, with the gainer phase, it's a time where you can get lazy with your movement. You can get lazy with steps. You can get lazy with cardio. This is where I've noticed the biggest change for me this year in terms of my movement is more energy going in through food, which is we're in the gainer phase, we're looking to gain weight, we're looking to build muscle. More energy going in, okay? More energy should be going out. Yes, you want to prioritize having that focus on your training and training performance and using as much as that food as energy towards your training. But you want to keep on top of your NEAT. You want to keep on top of your cardio alongside that. Your steps and a form of cardio, I really do recommend. Obviously, you see the bike here beside me. I'm on that pretty much every single day of the week. I've got the walking pad down here beside me, which we'll speak about in terms of routine in a minute. But keeping the steps nice and high is going to have a massive overlay into your ability to digest food, your ability to be fit to go in and do a lot of work in the gym and not be gassed out and fatigued too quick from doing a lot of sets, doing a lot of reps. You want to have enough volume inside in your training that you're able to actually, you know, make progress from, okay? So with that is keeping the movement up nice and high. If you notice at the moment, you know, you're very lackadaisy with your steps, you're not even tracking your steps, you're not doing any cardio, you know, you're getting out of breath a lot quicker because you're getting a bit heavier, that's only going to get worse and worse as time goes along. So stay on top of that. You want to be fit at the same time as getting heavier here. Big goal for me is to be able to continue to just be able to run when I want to run while getting a lot heavier. You know, when I hit 100 kilos, I still want to be able to go for a little run. You know, getting unfit just because you're trying to build muscle is no excuse. You should be fit year round alongside building this muscle, alongside gaining a little bit of body fat with that. Next thing then, the most important for me over anything is the routine, because the routine is going to allow for every aspect that we're speaking about here today to be nailed and to be adhered to and for you to stay accountable to. Having a bulletproof routine allows you to nail your food, allows you to go in and progress in the gym every single week. All right, and we'll get to routine in a minute, but before that we'll speak about recovery, because I did forget about recovery and jumped into routine. So recovery is something this year, again, alongside routine, I've really got a grasp on, in terms of sleep being that biggest thing that I've really, you know, taken advantage of now. And I sleep like it's a job. I sleep like I'm being paid to. And you want to be getting enough sleep in, whereas most people watching this, I say it a lot, is that you can control, right? A lot of people watching this video are in full control of how much sleep they can get. I understand I have clients who aren't fully in control of how much sleep they can get with shift patterns they work, with kids, with the responsibilities that they do have. But a lot of people maybe around my age, or people who are in situations that they can fully control the amount of sleep that they can get and how good that quality of sleep is, with being a little bit disciplined around that. Your sleep is when the muscle is being built, not when you're in the gym. Okay, when you're resting, that's when the muscle is being built. That's your best chance to build a muscle, and build a muscle fast. So you being up at night for an extra 2 hours, lying in bed on your phone, scrolling, looking at shit on what the next best training plan is, what the next best type of food to be eating is not the way to go about it. All right, because there is no next best thing. What you're doing right now and the setup that you probably have now in terms of training, in terms of food, is probably great, but you're probably not recovering enough to take full advantage of that food plan and of that training plan. Going back to food there as well, I was just thinking of it there. Look at the quality of your food. Look at the quality of food, okay? Yes, I know you might be on a budget and you're trying to do it cheap in terms of how much food you're taking in and how much you're spending on food every single week, but your whole diet, as much as possible, should be made up of whole quality, single ingredient foods to give you a chance, the best chance, to digest that food perfectly and actually allow that food to go to build a muscle and not to go as stored fat, okay? That quality food is going to make a big difference. Okay, I know it's a numbers game at the end of the day, 4,000 calories versus 4,000 calories, but tell me how good you feel off a quality 4,000 calories versus a dirty, shitty 4,000 calories, and come back to me. All right, tell me how good you feel. Tell me how good your training is. Tell me how good your sleep is. Tell me how good your productivity on a day-to-day basis is from the difference of those 2 days. Okay, because I know a lot of the time, right, Monday through Friday, you might have a perfect spot-on diet because you have routine there, you have a setup there. The weekend comes around, you might get a little bit lazy, okay? That's going to have a knock-on effect. That's going to impact your sleep for the next couple of days, which is going to impact your training. All these things have a knock-on effect. It's like the 5 variables that I said here. When they're all working together, you're going to make progress a lot quicker, okay? And recovery is a massive part of that. And try and find out if you're under-recovering, you're maybe like actually not getting enough sleep being a big part of it, but you might also be doing too much. All right, are you doing too much in the gym that you can't recover from with your lifestyle outside of it? It's all and well going in doing as much as you physically can in the gym, but if you don't have the capabilities to recover from that, you're not going to make as much progress if you're doing a little bit less, but you're actually able to recover from that as much as you possibly could. Do you know what I mean? So just take a look at your recovery being a big part of that, because you can only grow from what you can recover from at the end of the day. But push the boundaries on that as well. All right, that's something I've done a lot myself over the last couple of months. I took a deload myself last week, and I'm slowly but surely realising, you know, on the days that I'm meant to be resting, I need to rest a bit more and not look at those days as, right, how much cardio can I get done or how many extra steps can I get done, but actually just getting what I need to get done, ticking the boxes, and then resting for the time that I can rest, even if that's getting a little bit of extra sleep because I don't have that training window to worry about and I can get more done in the training window. All these small little things add up at the end of the day. Which brings me into the next part of being routine. If your routine is set up in a way that you can maximize on all those variables that we've just spoken about, and you can keep that routine in check 7 days a week, all right, not just 5, 7 days a week, you're going to nail this gain of phase. You nail this gain of phase. For me now, everything that I do has turned into a lifestyle, not a plan. And it's the way I'm trying to get my clients that come on board to look at everything that we do, is not just look at me and you working together as this plan that I'm on, but look at me and you as working together as changing your lifestyle, as building the lifestyle that you want to live and want to continue on with, okay? For me, the most progress has been taken this year from just this being a lifestyle now, and not just this prep that I went through for 7 months and then I went through this like fucking messy little phase, this, that and the other. It's just become a whole lifestyle for me, and it's made things so much more enjoyable. It's made things so much more enjoyable just looking at it as this is my lifestyle and not this plan that I'm stuck on, these meals that I'm stuck to having to eat. It's like that thing of people living for the weekend. You know, if you're living for like a little break from your plan, okay, there's no enjoyment from that. You should love every single part of your plan. You should love every part of that training, as hard as it might be to build a muscle. Again, your body does not want to do this. Your body does not want to build muscle. Your body does not want to change. So it will fight back. It will be fighting you up here, all right? And that's where you making the right decisions is going to be a massive part to it. Your body doesn't want to change, okay? It doesn't want to build a muscle, all right? And if you're in a position where you're living for just that break that you get from the gym, or living for that meal that you get off at the weekend, you're not really going to last in this thing that is going to take a long time, this phase that is going to take a long time. So that's just making sure that your routine, and that routine includes your training, your just day-to-day setup, like what your schedule looks like, is enjoyable, is adherable, and is sustainable. They're the three things that I always say have to be present in every single plan that I have, in every single person that I work with. And it's even more so for myself, okay? With that routine, it allows me to stay on top of my own shit. And by me being on top of my own shit, I can be so much more on top of everyone else's shit then as well. Routine, okay? Routine is the be-all and end-all for you to have the ability to just stay on it the whole time without getting overwhelmed and thinking, fuck, you know, because I've gone through multiple periods of my life where it's not been a sustainable routine, and there has been no routine, and the plan itself has just not been sustainable or enjoyable because of, you know, not being experienced, and it's just allowed me to go around in a circle and just left me going around in a circle and just getting no enjoyment from it. And then that leads me to taking a long time off. Now I've gotten to the point I've learned, and it's taken time, because that's what we're going to speak about now in a second, where it's just a lifestyle, man, and it's bloody enjoyable. Everything that I do is just part of my routine on a daily, and I just fucking love it. And that's where you need to get to. You need to get to a point where it's just everything that you do, you're enjoying, because it's going to make you keep that up without thinking, oh, I need this now. And it's going to allow you to understand that it's going to take time. And that's the last thing I'm going to speak about before I bore you anymore, is time, right? And as I said to you at the start of the video, this is the phase that's going to take time. This is the phase we're making the progress for us to reveal that later down the line, all right? The biggest thing that people take and don't understand and don't have, obviously, is patience in this game. And it's the one game, you know, the sport, hobby, whatever you want to call it, that it just comes down to patience, and it just comes down to time at the end of the day, and your ability to just enjoy that time, and your ability to just continue sticking it out day by day, taking it one day at a time, all right? And I know I say that a lot, but I learned that this year. It's just one day at a time. If you're worried about what you're going to be doing next week, if you're worried about what you have to do next week in terms of having to stay on plan, having to get all these training sessions done, you're never going to get to a point where you're just enjoying the process. You know, this is the best thing about it, is this process. This process that I'm on here now is the best part about it all. Why would you do it otherwise? Do you know what I mean? Why would you live your life like this? Why would you want to spend your life, your weeks, your days, spending all that time in the gym, spending all money on doing this, that and the other, if you didn't enjoy the whole process and the time that it takes to enjoy the process and the chase for the progress? Do you know what I mean? It takes time, and that's the biggest thing that you want to understand. And the more you understand that it takes time, and you're not rushing the process with trying to get a result here now this week that you're not going to get for another 4 weeks with the current trajectory that you're on, you're going to be in a much better position. Simple as, all right? when we look at that, all right, and I spoke about it to a client yesterday in a voice note when he texted me about his training, and he's in a position to me now, or a similar position to me now, where he's really found that, like, that drive in training where he's going in and he's just beating the logbook every single week. He's making use of that food. His sleep is in a better position because he's turning off the phone 2 hours earlier at night, like I said earlier on, because he knows that sleep is going to allow him to recover, to go in and get stronger in the gym the next day, for him to make better decisions off the back of that, for him to grow more muscle, and for him to make the most of these next couple of months before we cut down again next summer. With that, right, I've lost my train of thought now and what I was saying. But with that time, right, and speaking of training there, yes, is you're going to look back at where we're at right now, okay, in a year's time. And if you're consistently doing what you're meant to be doing, you're going to be lifting a hell of a lot more weight. It mightn't look like that right now. The 2.5 kilos, the 1.25 kilos, the 5 kilos you add to a lift every week or couple of weeks, it might not seem like much now. You might think you're going very slowly. Look back at that in a year's time. Tell me how much you've progressed the logbook. Tell me how much muscle is on your frame. From you progressing that logbook, being consistent with eating that food consistently 7 days a week, all right? Not just eating at maintenance like a lot of people are, talking about at the moment, because it is a hot topic in terms of eating at maintenance food or even below it, and then eating a shit ton of shit food at the weekend with off-plan meals and spiking your body weight and getting that jump in body weight from just those meals. With you doing that, you're not going to be able to drive training performance, because you're not going to be consistently fueled throughout the week to have that food going in and drive training performance and recover from that training. You want to have that consistently going in. And with your ability to get your food up nice and high and have a high baseline of food, your want to go and smash thousands of calories from shitty foods at the weekend is actually going to become lower, which means you're going to make more progress, you're not going to get as fat, and you're going to enjoy it a lot more, because things are going to happen faster. And that's what I think of it all at the end of the day. Again, at the end of the day, a lot of this is coming from experience, a lot of this is coming from opinions on my end. As you see on my channel, I'm documenting my whole process with everything that I'm doing at the moment. You can check that out. You can let me know what you think of everything I was speaking about in this video. If there's any other topics, obviously we didn't go too deep into a load of these things, but they're just like the main things that I would be looking at for yourself, and be disciplined, man. You know what I mean? Like, look at all those areas and say, am I getting the most from doing what I'm doing here? Do I have it set up quite correctly? A lot of the time it is, again, taking that stress away of you having to think about it, all right, the guesswork and everything, and getting a coach, all right, and having that accountability there in place. A lot of it does come down to accountability at the end of the day. If you are looking for that accountability, you are looking to take someone to take control, you want to take control of that position and get in a position that you are going to be happy with, do click the link in the description below. It'll take you through to my WhatsApp. We can have a conversation, again, just about where you're at the moment. That's a massive part as well. It's like where you're at, where you want to go, what you're doing at the moment, and where you might be going wrong. And we can steer you in that right direction. Hope you enjoyed today's video. As always, hope you got something from it. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope it got you through a bit of cardio, through a meal. Drop the video a like, subscribe if you haven't already. Appreciate you as always, and I'll see you in the next one.